There are guys who've gone to prisons. I mean, you listen to stories where former Mathare United players are in prison for certain things, and you wonder why you need to have certain ethos as a leader. Why do we do sports? Why do people do sports? Through sports, we can transform individuals or players into greater beings. So it is in that culture and the way of doing things that has been able to enable us compete with the who is who in sports in Kenya. I think people need to start viewing sports as an enabler to student development, because there are also certain transferable skills you get while doing sports. Time management, discipline, resilience. It builds character, builds leadership. So if we collaborate and do things well, then we'll be able to attract the kind of sponsorship, the kind of investments you want to see in the sport.
On back to your scholarship program, how does one get into it?
What we do is that we do scouting at the grassroots level.
And today we are joined with amazing guest, Mr. Mike Owiti, who's the manager student affairs at Strathmore University. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Maybe what's one thing that you'd like people to learn from today's podcast?
One thing I'd like people to pick from today's podcast is on sports integrity. How to win by doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is really important and a huge pillar towards sports development, because here at Wima Sports, we're about championing sports development. And Mike, tell us about your own early days in sports. What shaped your passion for, getting into sports and competing?
Well, I started playing sports at a very early age. I remember as a young athlete, when I was barely 6 years old, living in Wilson Airport those days, there was a slum just next to us. So most of the guys used to come and get me from our home to go and represent the youth team. And they used to say, I'm so good and I need to play. But then my parents didn't like the idea of me playing or mixing up with the guys. But the belief that people kept telling me that you're good at this, kept on pushing me. So when I joined high school, it was the same thing. I didn't join the university team straight. I played in the interclasses, the interdomes. So when I played in the interdomes, I was forced to actually join the school team. And it's like, no, you know how to play and you've just been sitting around here. So that continuous belief that people were showing me that you're good, you need to make use of your talent, don't just sit on it, these are God-given talent. That is what pushed me to play. And I became passionate about it, because the more I played, the more people saw me, and that's how I even landed a sports scholarship at Strathmore University. And I kept telling myself, then it means it seems I'm so good at this. And that's where I got the passion from, to continue playing. And I continued until the highest level though I didn't play for the national team, but I played in the Kenyan Premier League for Nairobi City Stars. So that is what kept on pushing me, the belief that people had in me, and also seeing that I was actually good and what sports was contributing in my life throughout. That is the passion that I had.
Yeah, so you got yourself to Strathmore, finished. What happened next after transitioning from Strathmore?
After transitioning from Strathmore, I can remember when I was graduating, so one of my youth coaches then told me, now that you've finally graduated from Strathmore, as you're looking for a job, why don't you use this time to also continue playing? So I signed up for Nairobi City Stars and joined the Premier League, where I played for 6 months before I got an opening again at Strathmore University to work in the sports department. And then remembering how professional they were and how the way of doing things there, the culture within the institution, I saw it as a big opportunity. So I had to sacrifice playing and these days I don't really see it as, I don't regret it. I used to regret at some point when I saw my peers playing for big teams within the country, representing the national teams. And I was like, I was better than this guy and he's in the national team. I would be here if I had not decided to join the institution and pursue a different career. But I don't regret it. That sacrifice has been worth it. And where I am right now, I am very happy because of that decision I was able to make.
Amazing, and you've highlighted some, key pointers of professionalism in Strathmore. Starting off, you spoke of integrity, and how was integrity instilled in you as a character growing up as a young athlete? What was the family environment like for you growing up on matters integrity, and how did it make it easier for you to marry as now a staff or a professional person at Strathmore after transitioning as a student?
Well, there are things that at times we could take for granted. Looking back, when I say that my parents didn't want me to mingle with certain characters when I was young, now I do realize that they were actually protecting me, because there are things that they would see that I wouldn't see. We all know that at times sports has had the bad, there are guys who've gone to prisons. I mean, you listen to stories where former Mathare United players are in prison for certain things, and you wonder why that would happen. So I think at a young age, the discipline that was instilled by my parents, by youth coaches, telling me, you need to stay away from this kind of group. You need to do this and do that. Always do things by the book, and transitioning all the way to high school where you become a school prefect. I was a dome captain where I studied. So there was always that, as a leader, you're being reminded you need to have certain ethos as a leader. And that sort of builds, and when even I joined Strathmore and became the captain at some point, the values that were instilled, you find the university has certain values. And it's those values, how they inculcate those values in you, is what makes you want to be the best, to do things right. And it just helps you in everything that you do.
You're part of one of the best run sports programs in the nation under universities. Um, what has made that sustainable for you? When did the sports scholarship start at Strathmore, and how far has it come this far?
I think I'll start by answering that question with another question.
Yes.
And that is in the why. Why do we do sports? Why do people do sports? So people do sports for various reasons. You'll find that some companies or some institutions just do it for wellness, as a wellness program, to just get students or staff to just engage in an activity and just burn some calories. Some people will do it in order to get tax rebates or for CSR, for social impact and things like that. And others will do it for talent development. For Strathmore, why we began sports is because it's within the strategic plan of the university. If you look at the university's mission to produce all-rounded students, sports is one of the core programs we use for student development. So it's a plan, it's within the strategic plan of the university, and the university has really invested a lot in it. And that is why there's goodwill from management to support. I mean, they give us a budget, they give us the resources, adequate enough to get the proper equipment, the good coaches, player welfare, things like that. And that is why we are excelling. And also our institutional culture. And this is simply a way of doing things, how we do things at Strathmore, which is embedded in our values. So excellence as one of our values, ethical, service to society, collegiality, collaboration, teamwork, things like that. And also now anchored by a strategic pillar, transformative student experience. So we believe that through sports, we can transform individuals or players into greater beings. So it is in that culture and the way of doing things that has been able to enable us compete with the who is who in sports in Kenya. And for the longest time, we've been up there. Most of our teams play in the Premier Leagues, and that's why we've been able to sustain ourselves there because of our culture and our way of doing things.
Yeah. Speaking of, strategic and it being part of the strategic plan, do you get to measure ROIs and what is it like for your institution?
Of course, there's other things that come with sport, the brand visibility, which also forms part of marketing. So you find the return is that you'd have someone like now, the Leo's coming off a win against KCB last weekend, and it's something that is in the news, is everywhere. So a young person, probably in Musingu, like right now we have the school games. they'll probably want to join an institution like Strathmore because they can see the things we're doing. They want to be part of us because they know that if I go to Strathmore, one, I'll get an opportunity to play at the highest level. I can get an opportunity to represent the national team. So for us, when you get the current captain of the sevens national team, Jojo Oro, is a former Strathmore student. So if someone from Strathmore can be picked to captain the national team, then it speaks volumes, because it means there's character there, there's discipline there, there's leadership there. So at times it's, in terms of measuring the impact, it's how do we transform lives? Where do these students go after this? Are we preparing them for industry? So at times they get absorbed after graduation, they get absorbed with various industries, and that is where we pride ourselves.
And I love the view of sports that you people have. What would you like other people as well to start changing their view of sports in regards to it just being a co-curricular, or it just being something to do on the side, and it being an integral pillar of marketing, integral pillar of sustainability, integral pillar of growth? What word can you say or breathe into that?
I think people need to start taking sports very seriously, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, if you look at the amounts people in the basketball, in the English Premier Leagues, the top 5 leagues are earning, the amount of investments people are putting into sports, I think it's high time people start valuing sport. I mean, some years back, sports was for, and it's still there, there's a perception that guys who play sports are not very good in class. And that is a very wrong perception. And you'll find most parents already telling their students, no, you study and finish, then you play sports later on. I think people need to start viewing sports as an enabler to student development, because there are also certain transferable skills you get while doing sports. I mean, time management, discipline, resilience. It builds character, builds leadership. And it also helps you to in terms of emotional intelligence, because being a sports person, it's rare that you'll probably win all your games. That days you lose very badly, and it humbles you, because at times you think you're the best, and when you lose, you're really humble. So there are so many things that sports can teach you.
Yeah.
And I think it's high time that we start valuing sports and doing a lot of investments in that area, and not just looking at it as a co-curricular activity, which you're just doing to check some boxes, because CUE probably has said that, we need to have this, CBC has said we have, so you're just doing to check the boxes. No, we need to take it seriously. We need to invest resources in the sports and develop it. And I think there's a lot of employment opportunities in the sports arena, because we still view sports as just players playing. But there are a lot of other things that come with sports marketing, sports science, there's research, there's so many things you can do in the sporting world.
Yeah. Usually we say that one athlete creates creates employment for about 6-7 other professionals. just one. So it's a whole industry that's there for us to take. We look at institutions and more so universities, and universities are really well positioned to. These are huge, with the numbers of students and all that, are huge grounds for different organizations to come for partnerships, for marketing, for all that. Do you think, generally speaking, institutions are leveraging that on the side of sports and marketing and different revenue streams for sporting programs?
I think they're doing their bit, though not to the level that you'd expect them to do. And at times it's because of certain constraints. I mean, it could be limited resources. Because at times you can invest so much, but then you find that the ROI is not there. There are no policies that protect you as university. Because one of the avenues we have is we have access to raw talent. because most university actually admit young people, 18 years, 19 years, and these are people that you can shape their character, you can teach them a number of things, and they're still at their prime, so to speak. So if there were policies that would protect institutions, because you find you build a player and someone will just come and take your player without compensating you, though we are not in the business of selling players. But if the policies were there to ensure that, I get something after developing someone, then it would make me want to do more in that area. You find that, for example, like now we take part in the leagues. You win the league and all you get is a hearty clap for winning the league. Yeah. So at times you want to invest so much and you're like, I won't get anything. So I think the institutions can do their bit. And I think the more we do things, the more we attract. If we do things well, we'll be able to attract certain people, certain sponsors, and the game will grow eventually. So if we collaborate and do things well, then we'll be able to attract the kind of sponsorship, the kind of investments you want to see in the sport.
Just to now narrow down back to your scholarship program, how does one get into it? Who would like to get into it? And how does it work and who does it target? Maybe you can also speak a little bit more on how many sports programs or sports disciplines having scholarships.
Okay. So currently we give scholarships to team sports because it's easier compared to individual sports. We've tried giving individual sports, but for now we don't. But hopefully in the near future we're looking into going back to athletics, because I think it's an area we can invest more in, and it can have more ROI if we go that direction. So we have a number of team sports in Strathmore. We have basketball, both men and women. So we give sports scholarships there. We have soccer, we have rugby, we have hockey, men and women. We have volleyball for men and women, and we have handball men. So those are the areas that we are currently giving sports scholarships. And how we do it is that we have a certain threshold. Each team has a certain number that they can have. For example, if it's soccer, for example, maybe you have 20 slots at any given point. So you'll find that you have a number of people graduating, so you replace based on those graduating. So if you have 4 guys graduating, then you can only get 4 slots of guys coming into the soccer program. So that is how it works. So what we do is that we do scouting at the grassroots level within the league that we compete in, because we play different teams and we see a young guy with potential, good grades, we approach him to join us. We go to the school games, do scouting there as way early as Form 2, Form 3. We identify someone and tell them, look, you are both talented and you're good in class. So all you need to do is work hard, get a good grade, and we can help you manage a dual career where you study and play at the same time. So we more or less target everyone, but you have to go through a series of tests. One is the trials, and the coaches to assess your capability, your sporting acumen. And then, of course, you have to go through the institutional assessments for you to get the admission letter to join the university. And then finally, once you pass there, then we do other tests. So we do what we call the ECG test, just to assess whether your conditions, because we play at the top level, and you coming in have to be at the peak of your performance. So we assess whether you have any injuries. The same way Arsenal would call a player for medical, we do something similar, just to see if you're in the right frame of mind to join us. So that's how it's done, and then you're able to join the university, and then from there are other programs that help you to excel not just in the field but also in the classroom. Yeah. So that's how we run our sports programs. So mostly it's through scouting, through referrals, that we get talent to join us.
And as a student there, how are you balancing life and school and performance and the hype in Nairobi. And how do you use your experience during that time now at the position you are to help students now?
I think one of the advantageous things we have in Strathmore is that we use a multifaceted approach. In that, if, for example, you're playing for a team like Gor Mahia or KCB, you only have access to a coach, assistant coach, maybe a physio, and that's it. But in Strathmore, you have access to a mentor. So you have a mentor that will mentor you on your academics. We have a clinic where we have a psychologist that will assist you on your mental health. We have certain programs and our clubs and societies where we have the mental health club that will help you on the mental aspect in case you're going through something and things like that. So one of the programs that I really enjoyed at Strathmore when I was young is the mentoring. So every student is allocated a mentor in the university that helps you transition through university life and helps you fit in well. And the way we've also structured our program is that it does not interfere with the academics. So you'll find that most of our programs, sports programs, run in the evening after classes. So we always advise our students to make use of the hours they have free in between to study and catch up with their schoolwork. And then in the evening, they go for sports. And weekend, even as they go for sports, we always encourage them to, if you have a game at 4, why not go to the library in the morning and study until noon, then go for that game, instead of just wasting the whole day. So I think the advice, the mentoring, and monitoring how they perform way in advance when they join from first year, you just pick out the issues that would be, and you see the signs. So when you monitor and you see someone is not doing well in a certain area, you address that issue before it becomes big. So that's what we do through monitoring and evaluation of our sports scholars. And then we also support them in other aspects of their wellness and well-being. So those are some of the things that we do that make our sport scholars able to balance the dual careers they have. Recovery is very important. So we also give time to rest because it's very important. They need to rest. And we've tailored our programs in such a manner that all that is catered for.
One of the hugest challenges, having interviewed and spoke to many athletes, is health and mental health, and all this narrows down to insurance. I understand you guys have also a great insurance policy with your athletes and student athletes specifically. How is it? How do you guys get to achieve that? And what can you share for other teams or people to learn on how to prioritize your athletes or student athletes' health?
So it's important when your high sports performance can only be sustained when you ensure that the physical, emotional, and psychological well-being of your players is catered for. So you have to ensure that, when it comes to the medical cover, you have to ensure that our athletes get to recover in the shortest time possible. You'll find that you have a knock as a player. So the first thing we'll do is the physios will assess you. And if it's something that they think needs more attention, they'll send you to the hospital to do scans to establish what the problem is. And at times we'll address it so quickly. So you get injured, you go to hospital, do your MRI or X-ray, it shows you have a tear, and you need surgery. Then we advise you and tell you this, you can sit out for a number of months with rehab and physio, or this one will eventually require surgery, however much you want to run away from it. Because also, we don't encourage surgical intervention so much, but at times you need to realize that that's the only way to salvage certain situations. So we address it immediately, and the players are able to come back to play. So when you look at the physical aspect, as I was talking about rest, when I was talking about conditioning, ensure you have a strength and conditioning coach to have your players ready to participate and they're physically ready. If you look at the emotional well-being, you look at how are we helping our players understand certain things. Let's say you feel you're so good and you're not being played, you're not being fielded in the team. So it sort of brings some emotional turmoil. You're dropped from the national team, you're not doing well in class. So it's affecting how you play and things like that. So it's important to look at the emotional aspect as well as the psychological aspect. At times you find players has gotten injured, they have a recurring injury. How do you support them to go through that during the rehabilitation period, telling them, encouraging them, telling them everything is going to be okay, don't worry, you will get over this, you'll still be able to represent the university or the national team when time, it takes time, don't worry. So I think it's more of encouraging the students, and I would advise most teams to have that in mind. I think a medical cover, because all players are always an injury away from retirement. And it's quite unfortunate that certain clubs don't have this medical cover for their students. And so when you get injured, you get offloaded and they sign another person. So that is not being honest. And it's why most careers have gone down the drain, because people were doing it for different reasons. So we also have to be humane and be ready to support these athletes whenever they go through such phases.
Indeed, for sure. And uh, maybe just to, you spoke of national teams, and you've had amongst your different sporting teams, different athletes being scouted for national teams and actually playing for national teams. How flexible is your program for such players who sometimes go out on assignments when it's in between school? And how do you guys get to handle such?
The way our classes are structured is that a student is allowed to attend up to 75% of classes, and so that means you can miss the other percent. So we always encourage our students to ensure that they attend all classes, so that whenever they are called for national team duty, it's still within the time. I mean, they still get to make it to sit for exams, because they're within the threshold required to sit for exams. So in instances where that is not possible, we always advise them, maybe an exam time period is coming up and they need to go for national team duty. So at times we advise them to skip national team duty and focus on class, because the national team is still there. It's not going anywhere. Or at times we ask them to to register for special exams, because at times you find a once in a life opportunity, like the rugby team was going for the Olympics, and this that doesn't come often. And when you get that opportunity, we also understand. So at times we can tell the student, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. I think because it's something we can see even before it happens, then we tell them, we think you can take an academic break for this particular semester so that you can focus on the national team and go and represent the university in the Olympics, and then after, you can come and concentrate with your studies. So we are a bit flexible in how we support them. The faculty are understanding. At times they have to miss class when they're traveling for games, especially on Friday. When you're going for Driftwood Sevens, for example, in Mombasa, you have to travel a day on Friday early. So that means you'll miss the classes on Friday. So, but the beauty now is that we have a blended learning where you have some classes online, some physical. So even on the road, you can still attend some online classes, which is an advantage for them. So we always sit down and plan way in advance, because we know this team is we have the calendar of the national teams, and we know that our players were consistent within the national teams. And so we always sit down at the beginning of each semester and just see how is this going to affect you, and how can we plan ahead so that to avoid this, so that you're able to still finish your academics as per your contract, and also represent excel in sports.
Yes. And you've been part of different sports business roundtables. What is one thing that we are not doing as a country to take sports to the next level that you think and feel that we need to do it?
These business roundtables, like especially there's one running today organized by CAS in KICC. Usually an opportunity to bring experts together from different industry. You'll find guys from academia, guys from government, guys from research, sports industry, and things like that. And it's usually to exchange ideas and have a different approach. Maybe there's a policy gap. And from those conversations, you can always tell that people know what needs to be done. But the problem now comes into the implementation. And that is where at times politics comes in, which is a detriment to us realizing most of the agendas we normally discuss in such forums. So you'll find people come, sit down, come up with a very good document, but now implementing that document becomes a problem. And I think that is where we need to improve as a country. If we have policies that say this is how we need to run things, we need to stick to that. We need to, right now, most companies or institutions have shied away from sponsoring the various leagues we have, the various sports we have. Why? Issues of integrity. So we need to be integral. I mean, this ethical practice is you can't succeed without that. You have to first have the integrity, then that way you'll be able to attract people who want to work with you because they can see you're doing things right, you're doing things the right way, and you're not taking shortcuts. I think that is what we need to do.
In running such a diverse sports program, I can imagine how huge your budget is, from medical to player welfare to salaries and everything. What are some of your challenges or the biggest challenges you face, and how do you get to maneuver through them?
Well, you've rightfully stated that we have a big budget, but from where I see it, at times you feel it's insufficient. Though it's massive, it's good, because the university really committed a lot of funds. But with the growth in sports and the new technologies coming in, you realize that we need to still invest more. So one of the challenges we have is limited resources. We don't have adequate funding at times to be able to do most of the things we want to do. We need to upgrade our facilities, for example, because you do realize that most of the injuries our players are having at times come from the surfaces they are playing on or training on. So at times you have limited resources to have the proper surfaces that for the different sports. The other challenge would be player management. It's not easy managing a diverse range of players with different emotions, different needs. It's also very challenging. The other would be player retention and retaining your coaches, because we have some of the best coaches and someone is always out looking at getting them. So how do I retain this coach if I'm not able to, for example, compete in terms of monetary compensation? So I need to be a good employer in certain aspects for them to stay behind. So that's another challenge of keeping talent. And then the other thing would be basically players, how do I put it? The different federations have different needs. Yeah. So at times you find that how we are set up as a university, it's very hard to meet those policies that we put in place. For example, the Sports Act, for example, requires certain things that maybe as a university, let's say minimum wage, if it's really, for example, it's something that I might not be able to sustain as a university. So what happens? So when we get there, probably, I would say those are some of the big challenges we are facing. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you've also shared how you get to maneuver through them. Yeah. And sustainability is huge, one of the huge challenges. Yeah. What's your thought on culture of, alumni coming back to the institution in their individual perspective, in their corporate perspective, to help support a sports program or to help support just different things within an institution?
I think our alumni at Strathmore University have played a very big role in supporting our students, because you'll find that most of them form parts of our mentoring teams. So you'll find alumni who graduated and there are those who still play for us, actually, because they got jobs and they still want to play. So the Strathmore is still the place to go to for them to play. And so we have the access to the alumni helps us in mentoring the young ones, and also they are part of our success stories. So if a student, a first year or second year just joined, is seeing Mike Owiti used to play here, and right now he's working as a manager in international affairs. This person used to play here, now he's in the KRU, or now he's doing this, he's into entrepreneurship, into business. So those success stories sort of motivate these young ones, and also sharing them that we've been here before, we've done this, it plays a very big role. So I know they may not, in Kenya, still the aspect of giving back is not has not really been embraced well. But I can tell you that in Strathmore, that is one of the things we are taught. Service society. In fact, in your first year, you have to go for service-based learning, and you'll find that that culture of giving back is what drives our alumni to come back and support others, because they've been to the program and they know the kind of support they can give, and it really helps us a lot.
You know, success in sports is measured with wins and losses, but success of a program is beyond trophies and leagues. How successful is your program?
I think our program is very successful. One, we may not win the league every year, but when we develop someone to the level that they go to the national team, for us, that is a success story. Every year in June, the last Friday of June, I always look up to that month because it's our graduation month. And normally, how I know we've been successful over the years is that the parents, because every year we graduate 20 plus students from the sports scholarship program. And you get calls from parents inviting you for, celebrations and things like that, and telling you, thank you for being with my son through this journey. You've really done us proud. You've changed our lives with this. And so those are some of the stories that when you look back at where you began, and now this guy is graduating and probably playing somewhere else or gotten a job, those are the success stories that we look at for us. It's how have we developed someone to go and impact the society, to go and impact the community. So these trophies will just come in as a bonus, and to what we do. So that, to me, is how we measure our success.
Which are one of the most overwhelming, situations of such that you're like, oh my God, that one that, really caught you, if you can share.
There's one student that I really struggled with. He was, like I told you, I'm part of a sports team in South B called South B All Stars. I was brought up in South C, but spent most of my time in South B playing football. So from the slum there have a couple of guys I knew, students, young students. So immediately he finished high school, I wanted him to join Strathmore. And it was still adamant, still wanted to play. But I told him, this is, you need to do this. It's good for you. So even the parents pushed him. So ideally, he joined Police FC. Then after 3 months, I don't know what happened within the team. And then he's just a light bulb. And he was like, no, I wanna call Michael and see if that opportunity is still there. So I told him, yeah, you can come. But now we don't have a slot for the sports scholarship. But I'll talk to the other financial aid office and see if there's something that can get you. So I talked to one of my friends in financial aid office and told me, yeah, there's an opportunity. Asked him to apply. And then he applied and was able to get a diploma, a scholarship to pursue his diploma. So he joined the evening classes doing diploma and will still play for us. So we immediately finished diploma. He did want to continue the degree, but I told him, you remember you asked me for this opportunity. Now you have the opportunity to join the degree program through sports scholarship, and you want to throw it away. Then he thought, and I think the cousin called him and told him, you have to play. You have to join the degree. So he joined, did his degree, and so he's been in Strathmore for a period of 6 years, because he started with the diploma for 2 years and degree for 6 years. So he actually graduated this year. Yeah. And I think when I was invited for his graduation, I was very happy, because this is someone who was struggling. He could barely afford the fees. So it's someone that I made sure that he would transition. So I would talk to a couple of alumni who are there and told him, look, this friend of ours, we need to do something. We need to contribute some money to help him transition. We need to pay rent for him. I need him to focus to everything he was going through. So it's someone I held personally until the last minute when he graduated. And when he graduated, I felt like a proud father who had taken someone through university life. And right now, he's already secured a job with a very good multinational, nice. Earning some very good money. And I was so happy, because now when I took him back, when the parents came for the graduation, he already was interning in that company. He just got confirmed the other day. So he was able to play football and he's able to get a job, and he's going to support his family. And so the dad and the mom was there thanking me, and even wishing they could give me something, like kuna ng'ombe nyumbani kuja uchukue tumekwekea. I'm like, no, this I'm just happy seeing this. Yeah, so those are some of the stories that when you go back and realize, when you take someone through the challenges of university life and they're able to maneuver and finish, I really pride myself in that. Yeah.
Indeed, a really humbling moments there. And brother, you've been through sports, played it, now you're in the operation side of it, managing also students' affairs. What's Mike's legacy, and what do you hope to leave for the next generation of sports leaders?
Yeah. Well, mine would be, I want to leave a legacy of transformation. So mine is a transformative agenda, and that is what I would want people to embrace, from the local coaches at the grassroots level to other coaches at the highest level, is how are we transforming the talents that come through our hands? We shouldn't just see these people as resources to attain certain goals. That I'm buying this player because I want to win the league. That player joins your team. How are you transforming him as an individual? Both as an athlete and on a personal level. So mine is more on a transformative agenda, borrowed from the strategic pillar of the university of transformative student experience. So that is a legacy I would want to leave behind. When people remember me and say, if you ever went through this guy, you'll definitely see some transformation.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We wish you the best at that. And indeed, championing sports development here at Wima Sports, and these conversations is part of that legacy of transformation, sowing that seed there. Onto the quickfire segment section. Football, rugby, tennis, or swimming. Your go-to sport to watch?
Soccer.
You stay true to it.
I stay true to that. And it's because before in my role now, I understand almost all sports. But before that, I only understood soccer. And that is why I think I was biased towards soccer. But now, these days, I'm watching more of rugby and hockey because I understand. You see, at times, you go to watch a game and someone is telling you that's a short corner in hockey. Like, what is a short corner? That's a flick. And what is this? That's knock on. But when you start understanding the different sports, then you actually realize you can watch any sport. But I think soccer is still my go-to sport to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't steal that away from you. Most memorable match or game you've ever attended?
Wow. I've attended many matches, but I can tell you last weekend's match was my most memorable match.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
I've been going to watch the national team play, and they've always lost or drawn, but Kenyans didn't believe we'd win this particular one.
True.
But when we beat Congo 1-0, it was electric in the stadium. And I think it was one of the best experiences. Yeah. And even going there, the roads were blocked and all that. But I was fortunate enough to go with one of my friends who works in the discipline forces. So he had this VIP and aways, and we just went. So it was from going there to exiting to the 1 million chance and the president promising the players 1 million and actually actualizing it. It was electric. It was nice. I think that was one of my most memorable matches.
Yeah, as a soccer player, out of the quickfire, I know there's still one more. But just to build up onto that, you've played soccer in Kenya, since a young boy. How was it for you to see even just such growth and progress? I know we are not where we need to be yet, but that churn itself and the promises and all these other things that came with it was just amazing.
Yeah, you can, if you look at the amount of investments coming in right now into sports, specifically soccer, you can see that we are actually growing, and we can only get better. So you can, over the years, there've been, with devolution, most counties have built stadiums, even though not up to standard, but it's something. And our top leagues are being played in good grounds. And I think we can only grow. I think there's growth. And with the leadership that came in, I think if they do their bit and just, you don't need to do much. You can just maintain the status quo, just improve even 10%, a bit more, and we'll get there eventually.
Back to the quick fire. One word that describes your coaching philosophy.
I believe I don't believe in shortcuts, so I believe in discipline and commitment. So as a coach, I would most probably focus more on the disciplined players, the committed players. So for me, if you're a star and you're not willing to put in the work, to put in the effort, then I'd rather put you on the side, because I want to see guys who are committed, who have the drive, the passion to do something. Then because I know we can succeed, so we can succeed together. Yeah.
Sports goes hand in hand with fun. How can we have sports without fun? And that always leads us to a fun segment that we usually have. If you could invite any athlete, past or present, to speak at Strathmore, who would it be?
Well, my friends normally laugh at me when I tell them I'm a big fan of wrestling. I watch the WWE since a young age,
Yeah.
So if I was to invite someone, I would probably invite Triple H. I don't know if you know him. Yeah.
Yes, I know
He
Triple
currently manages the company. He's the CEO of the company. And they manage talent, the way they organize the program, things like that. It takes a lot. So that is someone that I would want to have a sit down with, just to hear and see how they do what they do. Yeah.
And I've watched his podcast and some stuff on YouTube is really crispy.
Yes. So that is someone I would love to meet one day. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's still in my bucket list to attend a WrestleMania match. So hopefully when I'm able to do that.
Yeah. There was a POV like reel on when you hear the sound when you're walking to the kitchen.
Yes.
And you hear the sound of Undertaker. You remember that sound?
Yeah, the gong. Yeah.
And you'd run back. What's your favorite, like pump up song before a game?
Still goes back to wrestling. I like the theme song. So the Triple H entrance theme about the game. So whenever that is what I have in my ears when I'm about to go to the match. This is the game. I am the game.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I normally like those wrestling theme entrances. Yeah. I mean the pop you get when they come in. So it sort of feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get to try some moves with your young ones?
Of course. I once injured my younger brother trying to choke slam him on a chair. So we do those things. In the swimming pools, you try a few things here and there. Yeah. But then you understand why now you're told don't try this at home.
Yeah. You get to realize.
Yes. Those are professionals. Yeah.
Funniest or most unexpected thing that ever happened during training?
Most unexpected thing that happened during training is, at times you don't expect guys to celebrate your birthday, but there was this time that Mike Owiti introduced the flop of the day.
Yeah.
It was the first time, so when he introduced it, I was the first person that it landed on. I don't know, because I think he had gotten to a point where the players were just, either we were doing something wrong. So when we were at the circle there, I know I'm one of the good players in the first 11. So after training, it tells our flop of the day today is Mike Owiti. He's the worst player today, in fact. And it came as a shock. I was like, wow. And if you were mentioned, if you were in that category, you were sure you're not going to play the match over the weekend.
Yeah.
So it took me by surprise. And since then, I've always been serious in everything I do. Because at times, you go joking around, knowing, the coach is going to play me. But that was one of the shocking things that ever happened to me while playing.
Yeah. Amazing, Mike. It was great having you here at Wima Sports. You are running an amazing program at Strathmore. You guys are doing amazing things, towards building sports and, actually just sowing seeds into the national teams. Keep on at it, and we celebrate you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. I think you're equally doing something very important in the sports ecosystem. which and through collaborations and things like that, I think we can make things work and things more better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that you'd like to see different as we wrap it up within the athletes, just anything surrounding athletes specifically, what would you like?
I'd like to see athletes being mentored more to make the correct decisions and the right decisions. Just going back to the 1 million shilling that was given by the president to the athletes, while we were talking to some of them in camp, you could hear the stories. Someone saying that I'm going to get a car, and you're like, why are you thinking about that? So we need to advise them better, so that the sad stories we hear of athletes living in poverty after their playing careers is not good. And I think that is why at times you find people saying, forget about sports, it won't take you anywhere, because there are success stories, but there are not so many, compared to the other things we're seeing. So I'd like to see a lot of mentoring of athletes in general, and some good advice going in there in how to invest early, in how to plan for their life post their playing career. And I think that way we are able to build the sports, and the value in sports can be seen, because we still see these challenges that athletes face after their careers, then we'll always have that notion that sport is not taking you anywhere.
Yeah.
And yet it's a multi-million industry in other areas, in other continents. Why not home?
Why not?
Why not here?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the last one now to wrap it up.
Yes.
Do you think sports is a career?
Yes, I think sports is a career in itself. If done well, it is a career in itself. But it's also important to just think of, because like I mentioned, if you're playing sports, people need to stop seeing sports as just the player. There are other, like you mentioned, that one athlete can employ other people. So we also need to look at these other areas within the sports industry, and not all of us want to succeed in one area, because we can't all fit there. Yeah. So there are opportunities, different opportunities. So people also need to have that at the back of their mind, that even if I'm playing sports and I think it's a career, because 1% will probably just succeed from playing sports alone. The Dennis Oliech of this world, the McDonald Marigas, but then you realize that you need to do something else. Start a coaching career. You could have become a physiotherapist, a sports engineer, things like that. Mm-hmm. So sports is a career, but you have to also, just the same way people who graduate from college need to grow and develop themselves. So we need to continuously develop ourselves, even in that career.
Once again, thank you so much, Mike. Cheers to transformational moments ahead. And until next time, our viewers, signing out. It's your host, Jermaine. Salute.